Greetings, my friends. I want to thank you all for subscribing. I want to thank all of my channel members for supporting me in this endeavor to save pop culture. And if you are not subscribed, please consider supporting this channel. We need you. Thank you. Greetings, my friends. I am Dicta Van Doomcock, the future ruler of Earth, broadcasting from my hidden base at the center of the Earth. And of all the vile things to crawl out of the San Diego Comic-Con, one of the most vile must surely be the trailer for Season 2 of Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. I have seen this trailer, my friends, and yeah, you want to know the biggest problem with Season 2 of Rings of Power? Season 1 of Rings of Power. The fact that Season 1 exists pretty much makes Season 2 a moot point, irrelevant at best, loathsome at worst. Surely as the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, there are bound to be many things wrong with Rings of Power Season 2 once we actually review the episodes, but just judging by my reaction to this trailer, the mere existence of Season 1 is a single insurmountable obstacle to Season 2's theoretical prospects. In short, as I watched this trailer, all I felt was anger, loathing, disgust, and foreboding of worse to come. Every time I saw Galadriel on screen, I felt a twinge of pure disgust. Disgust at how this character has been fundamentally perverted from what Tolkien intended, hell, from what Peter Jackson presented in his excellent Tolkien adaptation. Galadriel ain't supposed to be Xena warrior princess, gang. That's the bottom line. Galadriel has basically been sacrificed on the altar of woke, mutated into a stunning and brave slay queen because wokeness requires it. So right there, at the very root of the show, is a decision they won't be able to take back, the poison apple in the barrel. The elves and dwarves of color are also casualties of the agenda, along with, I assume, the lack of quality in screenwriting, the lack of depth in the acting, the frankly at times shitty special effects. In every measure, Season 1 of Rings of Power was just god-awful, and perhaps it was some time-warping power of Sauron's that made each hour-long episode seem like an eternity to get through. Even sitting through this trailer was difficult, but I'm prepared to give my reaction to what they've shown and offer my predictions about Season 2 based on what I've seen.
I think I can predict what that prediction is gonna be. Hold on, let me get my Karnak the Magnificent turban and I'll take a crack at it, Doomcock.
Well, while you're doing that, Harvey, let's look at some key moments in the trailer. The first impression I got is the parts of Middle-earth that looked cheap in the first season still look like shit. The makeup, the sets, the actors themselves, they all leave me feeling completely unconvinced that any of this is real. It just seems fake as hell. None of it seems like it's really happening. None of it seems like it's related to the Middle-earth that I know. Maybe it's because I literally couldn't give two squirts of piss for any of these characters. I don't care if Sauron destroys them all. In fact, I kind of want Sauron to destroy them all and put them out of our misery. I have zero empathy for any of these people. I have no interest in them whatsoever. The elves gathered together at the tree. They all look like they're some kind of cosplayers getting together to reenact a scene from something better. The rings themselves look like costume jewelry to me. That's not to say that all the effects look bad. They have at least raised the bar on some of the CGI from the first season, which was, in many instances, just laughably bad. I think maybe the CGI in the first season suffered from the soap opera effect because it seemed to me like maybe it was shot at 60 frames per second, so everything had that unnatural clarity and smoothness, like when you're playing a 4K movie and it does the frame averaging thing, making even movies shot on film like Blade Runner look like it was shot on 4K video. But regardless, you can tell from the trailer that Amazon has gotten a little bit desperate to put a more Tolkien-like spin on things, at least visually. You get a hell of a lot of Memberberries here, folks, no lie. Now, only time will tell if they're simply gratuitous attempts to induce amnesia in the audience, because amnesia is the only chance this show has. But I got the feeling that they were trying to dazzle us with bullshit to make us hopefully forget all about the horrific first season But sadly for Amazon, that's impossible. Because no matter how much they dazzle, we've still got the same lame actors and the same lame heroine from season 1.
Memberberries galore, Doomcock. You've got Sauron's crown. You get a Balrog destroying an elfin bridge. You get young Shelob. You've got some Ents there. You've got a troll. Essentially, it's a trailer showing you what they hope are pretty pictures of Memberberries to help you remember Peter Jackson's amazing trilogy and hope some of that goodwill rubs off on them.
Indeed, Skull of Calderon, not only Memberberries, but shots and moments that seem pulled right out of Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings trilogy. There's a tracking shot around our heroes lifted straight out of the trilogy with similar lighting. Same with Shelob, pretty much just a smaller version of Shelob, along with a smaller and less impressive Balrog than we saw in Fellowship of the Rings, but the biggest problem is the much smaller and much less impressive Galadriel, a damning deficiency that after a full season of abuse cannot possibly be overcome in the minds of Tolkien fans, no matter how much spectacle they throw out there. The massive problem for Rings of Power in trying to ape Peter Jackson's masterpiece is that it makes us remember how great those movies are and how impossible it will be for these people to bring us anything even half as amazing. Wide shots of battles, vast armies facing off, explosions, gore. We've seen it all done before, and we've seen it done better on a bigger screen. And for Jackson fans, watching this series is going to be kind of like doing an Onan impression after an orgy. Limp, pointless, and just kind of sad. So sadly, for Rings of Power, they killed their chances off in the first season, drawing fire for not being Tolkien enough. Then they come back with season 2, trying to emulate Peter Jackson's style to seem more Tolkien, but all it does is remind us, hey, we haven't watched the movies in a while. We should go back and watch the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Wasn't it swell? Want my reaction summed up here, folks? Canon abuses aside, I predict watching season 2 is going to be somewhat akin to a longtime junkie taking a hit of a drug that no longer gets him high. It's just a habit he goes through, hoping maybe someday to feel something again. I have to review it, but if you don't, I advise you to skip it. I suspect this is going to be a very, very strong case of been there and done that. From the center of the earth, this is Dictor Van Doomcock bidding you all, my friends, stay angry. Ha 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 ha.